San Francisco, 1872. The most powerful banker in California sits across from two rough, weather-beaten strangers who have just placed a grubby leather bag on his desk. Inside, raw, uncut diamonds, rubies, sapphires. The two men claim to have stumbled onto an untouched gem field somewhere in the American West. So rich, they say, that stones can practically be plucked off the ground by hand. The banker doesn't gamble on instinct. He sends a sample to the single most trusted name in gemstones anywhere on Earth, Charles Lewis Tiffany, founder of Tiffany Company. Tiffany personally examines the stones. He declares them genuine. He values them at a fortune. Within months, some of the most powerful men in America, a former Civil War general, a sitting congressman, one of the country's most famous newspapermen, are lining up to invest. A company is formed. Shares go on sale. Nobody has thought to check one simple thing, whether the diamond field itself is real. It isn't. It was dug by hand and salted, stone by stone, with gems bought cheap in London months before anyone arrived to discover it. This is the story of the two men who fooled Tiffany's own founder and the one geologist who finally caught them. Philip Arnold was born in 1829 in Hardin County, Kentucky, the same county where Abraham Lincoln was born, a Mexican war veteran with little formal education, but years of genuine experience as a prospector. His cousin, John Slack, born 9 years earlier in that same county, had the same rough upbringing and the same restless appetite for a fortune that never quite arrived. By the late 1860s, Arnold was working as a bookkeeper at a company called the Diamond Drill Company, a business that manufactured industrial drill bits tipped with small, real diamonds. It was here, according to a colleague named James Cooper, that the idea was born. Cooper explained an old prospector's trick called salting, planting real gold or gems in a location to convince buyers a worthless claim was actually valuable. Gold salting was common, and increasingly, buyers had grown wise to it. Diamond salting, though, nobody had ever seriously attempted it. It required a rarer, more expensive kind of lie, and Arnold had access, through his job, to exactly the raw material that lie required. In late 1870, Arnold and Slack approached a San Francisco financier named George Roberts. Arnold had once worked as a prospector for him. They weren't there to talk business right away. They produced a worn leather bag. Inside, uncut diamonds and other gems, estimated at the time to be worth roughly $125,000. They claimed to have found them somewhere in the American West, deliberately vague about exactly where. Roberts knew little about diamonds, but he knew opportunity when he smelled it. He brought the story to his friend, William Ralston, a man who had made an enormous fortune from Nevada's Comstock Lode silver rush and who had gone on to found the Bank of California. By 1872, Ralston was widely considered the richest man in the state. Ralston and Roberts brought in another investor, William Lent, who had helped finance Comstock silver operations. They brought in a fourth man, Asbury Harpending, a fellow Kentuckian who understood prospecting and who would later write his own account of everything that followed. 4 powerful, experienced businessmen, all of them completely convinced. None of them had asked to see where the diamonds actually came from. The investors gave Arnold and Slack $50,000, officially, to fund a return trip to gather more samples. Arnold and Slack quietly took that money and sailed for London. There, they purchased roughly $20,000 worth of low-quality, uncut diamonds, along with rubies, sapphires, and emeralds. They brought the stones back to California, presenting them as further proof of their discovery. To settle any remaining doubt, the investors sent a sample directly to New York, to the one man whose word on gemstones carried more weight than anyone else's in America, Charles Lewis Tiffany. Tiffany examined the stones personally. There was just one problem nobody accounted for. Tiffany was the world's foremost expert on cut, polished, finished jewelry. He had almost no experience valuing rough, uncut stones straight from the earth. He valued the sample at $150,000, more than 7 times what Arnold had actually paid for it in London. Word of Tiffany's endorsement spread through New York's financial elite almost overnight. A meeting was arranged at the Madison Avenue home of a prominent attorney. New investors arrived to hear the pitch. Among them, former Civil War General George McClellan, sitting Congressman Benjamin Butler, the famous newspaper editor Horace Greeley. Tiffany's mistake had just netted Arnold and Slack another $100,000. By now, The investors wanted more than samples. They wanted to see the source with their own eyes. They insisted on bringing along an independent expert of their own choosing. Henry Janin, a respected mining engineer who had reportedly examined over 600 mines in his career and never once made an assessment that cost an investor a dime. Janin's fee, $2,500, all expenses paid, plus an option to personally purchase 1,000 shares of stock in whatever company the investors eventually formed. Nobody seemed to notice that this gave their supposedly neutral expert a direct financial incentive to say yes. In June 1872, the party set out, Arnold, Slack, Janin, and several investors, traveling by rail toward Wyoming Territory, then continuing on horseback. For the final leg of the journey, Arnold and Slack insisted on one condition: the entire party would be blindfolded. After a deliberately zigzagging 4-day trek designed to disguise the true location, the blindfolds came off at a remote mesa near the Wyoming-Colorado border. The ground was scattered with diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and emeralds, some sitting in plain view, others just beneath the surface. Janin, the trusted expert, walked the site, examined the stones, and delivered his professional verdict. The field was genuine. It was the first mistake of his career. With Janin's endorsement in hand, the investors moved fast. They formally established the San Francisco and New York Mining and Commercial Company. To generate excitement, they displayed trays of the gemstones in a prominent San Francisco jeweler's storefront window. Crowds gathered just to look. Behind the scenes, Congressman Benjamin Butler personally guided a mining act through Congress, legislation that conveniently allowed the new company to purchase the federal land containing their diamond field. In exchange, Butler quietly received 1,000 shares of stock. The investors, eager to remove Arnold and Slack from the picture entirely, negotiated a buyout of their original claim. Slack alone demanded $100,000 for his share, half paid immediately, the rest promised, after one final visit to confirm the field still held more gems. The company was worth millions on paper. Arnold quietly took his money and purchased a 2-story brick house back home in Kentucky. Slack simply disappeared. Neither man had any intention of sticking around for what was coming next. 30-year-old Clarence King was by 1872 already one of the most respected geologists in America. He had just completed leading the 40th Parallel Survey, a massive 5-year federal government mapping expedition covering 1,000 miles of territory between Wyoming and California. When word of the Great Diamond Fields of America began spreading through newspapers, King grew alarmed for a very specific reason. His own survey had already meticulously documented that exact stretch of land. His official report stated clearly that no major gemstone deposits existed there. If the diamond field was real, it meant his own multi-year government survey had missed one of the greatest mineral discoveries in American history, a professional humiliation that could threaten funding for the entire government survey program. The break came by pure chance. In October 1872, one of King's own team members ran into Henry Janin on a train bound for Oakland. Janin, still glowing with excitement, showed off several of the diamonds. That night, the geologist wrote in his personal diary, "Suspicious-looking characters on the train are returning diamond hunters. Henry shows us some of the diamonds, pretty crystals." King tracked Janin down in San Francisco, pressed him for details, and made a decision. He would find this diamond field himself. King and 2 of his men rode out by mule, following every clue Janin had unknowingly provided. After 5 grueling days, they reached the site and immediately began finding gems, exactly as described, sitting on anthills, scattered across the ground. But King started noticing something wrong. Everywhere his team found a diamond, they also found a dozen rubies sitting right beside it. In nature, different gemstones form under completely different geological conditions. They don't cluster together by coincidence. Then, one of his men picked up a single stone and called King over. The diamond had a facet on it, a flat, polished surface, cut by a professional jeweler's tool. No diamond forms that way in the ground. Someone had already cut this stone before it was supposedly discovered lying in the wilderness. King ordered his team to dig 10 feet down, straight through the site. Below the surface, nothing, no gems at all, only in the disturbed, shallow topsoil, exactly where a man with a shovel and a bag of stones could easily have planted them. There was no diamond field. There never had been one. King rode immediately for San Francisco. He met directly with Janine and the company's directors and laid out everything he had found. Janine, humiliated, confirmed King's findings were correct. The story broke in San Francisco newspapers in late November 1872. The Associated Press wired it around the world within hours. One Nevada newspaper described the public as having been, quote, hornswoggled by a very adroitly and expensively devised and executed salting process. The New York Sun ran a blunter headline, "The Sharpest Men in California Lose Nearly $2 million. Ralston alone had lost an estimated $250,000. William Lent claimed losses of $350,000 and sued Arnold directly, eventually settling out of court for far less than he'd hoped. The company's other investors quietly bought back Henry Janin's shares, sparing the disgraced engineer from total financial ruin. And through it all, not one single person was ever indicted. Not Arnold, not Slack, not even Cooper, the man who had taught them how to salt a mine in the first place. Philip Arnold went home to Kentucky, forced eventually into a financial settlement, but never facing criminal charges. John Slack simply vanished. For decades, most assumed he had either fled the country or quietly died. It wasn't until 1967, when a researcher finally traced his path, that the truth came out. Slack had spent his remaining years building caskets in St. Louis, then working as an undertaker in a small New Mexico town, living alone, under his own name, until his death in 1896. His entire estate at the end, $1,600. Clarence King became a national celebrity overnight. 7 years later, in 1879, he was named the founding director of the newly created United States Geological Survey, a real federal agency that still exists today. The mountain where it all happened still sits on the Wyoming-Colorado border. It's marked, quite fittingly, on modern maps as Diamond Peak. Nobody who fell for this hoax was foolish. Ralston was one of the shrewdest financiers in America. Tiffany was the single most trusted name in gemstones on Earth. Janin had personally verified 600 mines without a single mistake. Every one of them made the exact same error. They trusted an expert's word, given by an expert with every incentive to say yes, and never once demanded to verify the ground itself. It took one geologist with nothing to gain and everything to lose, and a single diamond that had already been cut by human hands, to prove that the most convincing lies aren't told with words. They're told with dirt. Thank you for watching.